Hey, what's up people? Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, it's been a week since I have uploaded a video, and that's because the struggle have been a little bit intense here in Dominica. And in this video, I'm going to paint a picture of you guys to show you guys why so many of you guys are struggling here in Dominica. That's my sexy wife. Look how sweet she looks. Click that thumbs up button. We're on lockdown and there's nothing to do. Yeah, so this is why most people struggle here in Dominica, not just here in Dominica, but for most part of the world. So here I'm going to paint a picture here for you guys, right? Let's say this is Carol. Let's draw Carol for you guys to see. I'll give Carol a skirt. You know, this is Carol. Let's give Carol some nice hair. You know. And you know, Carol is a casual girl. She has a nice smile. She has her eyes. You know, so this is Carol, and let's say this is Amy. Amy, let's draw Amy. Let's give Amy also a skirt. You know, Amy may be a little bit more fancier than Carol, and Amy probably have a little bit more fancy hair because you know Amy not satisfied with her hair, so she had to put on hair. Amy probably have let's see here. Amy probably have a little lipstick on. You know? Yeah. So, you know, and you know, Amy probably have some eyelashes. You know, so Amy a little bit more, she have a fancier skirt on. So that's Amy. Amy's a flashy young girl. You understand? And this is Carol. So Amy and Carol works a job. They work a similar job. You know, and at the end of the month when Amy and Carol gets paid, you know, Amy and Carol receives an amount after taxes and after Social Security. Carol receives $3,000 and Amy also receives $3,000. You understand? And Amy has bills like everybody else. You know, Amy has rent. Amy rent is about $600. Interestingly, Carol also has rent, which is equivalent to the same $600. Amy goes grocery store shopping, you know, and she spends $500. Carol goes grocery shopping, she spends $500. Amy also goes, not grocery shopping, but she goes shopping and buys whatever, and she also spends $500. Of course, both of them have responsibilities at home. This one has internet and cable. Cable is about, let's say, $150. Amy also has the same internet and cable at the same $150. You know, and Carol also has some. What again? She has water bill. Let's say the water bill is $100. She has electricity. Let's say the electricity is $150 as well. And the same thing for Amy. You know? And that's it. You know, at the end of the month, Amy decides, well, she takes $300 for her pocket change. You know, and she also put $300 in her closet somewhere for an emergency. She's left with $800, and she decides, well, she's going to save in a savings account $800. You understand? On the other hand, Amy decides, well, she is left with about how much? Let me do the math. Is 3, she have 6, she have 5, that's 11, that's $1,250, $1,300, $1,400. She's left with $1,600 in her pocket, Amy. As far as Amy is concerned, she have a lot of more money to spend for the month. She doesn't know anything about saving. All she knows is that she have more money left over after she pay off her bills, and she have $1,600 left. You know? So let me just erase that board a little bit more so I can give all you more of the scenario. Just remember this outline, all right? Yeah. Just give all you this scenario right here. So yeah, so as I was saying, so Amy decides she has 16, my marker giving away, man. She has $1,600 left in her pocket. Now, unlike Carol, who saves $300 in her for her pocket change, Amy decides, well, she's going out to a fancy restaurant with some of her friends, you know, and it's nice food, and she burns $300 in that restaurant. Yeah, so next day, Amy decides, well, she's fed up with her hairstyle. She wants something new. So Amy decides, well, she's going to the hair and nail salon. You know, the salon where people do nails and both hair and nails. So Amy decides, well, she go to the hair salon and she's doing her hair. So while Amy is doing her hair, you know, she see one of her friends doing her nails. Doing their nails, and Amy decides, what boy, you know, carnival coming up, let me go and do my nails as well. Amy burns $300 again on her nails and her hair. Amy is now left with $800 in her pocket. $800. Why is my marker? Let me use another marker. Amy is now left with $800 left. With $800 in her pocket. And as far as Amy is concerned, Amy finds she still has a lot of money in her pocket. Amy is not so much of a person that like to cook food. When Amy wakes up in the morning, she wakes up just in time for her to go to work. So she goes to work, and on her way to work, Amy spends $15 on breakfast. You know, and in the afternoon she spends $20 on lunch. You know, and after work late in the afternoon, she decides, well, she's going to buy a few things so that she can cook her dinner when she goes home, and she spends another $20 on her supper. You know, yeah. So so all in all, Amy spends $55 for the day buying food. And Amy now not really checking how much money she's spending. As far as she's concerned, she have a lot of money to spend. You know, Amy goes on for 2 weeks doing that exact same thing, and Amy ends up spending $500. And Amy then goes out with her friends over the weekend, and she spent $150. In all, Amy has spent $700, and Amy is now left with only $100 remaining in her pocket. You know, at the end of 3 weeks, basically, Amy is left with $100 in her pocket. So now Amy figure, wait, Papa, now Amy realized she don't have much money left, and she have another week to go before she gets paid. And Amy decides, well, she'll use $50 for the rest of her transportation to go to work. You know, and she'll use $50 to go and do a week worth of grocery shopping. You know, to just eat mere minimum. That's what just to see how she can keep up for the rest of the week in just before month end reach. So that's what Amy does, you know. Before the end of the month, Amy is left with $0. Before the end of the month, Amy is left with $0. Amy looking nice and flashy. Amy maybe have a fancy shoe in her foot as well. You know, and prokes. Amy looking nice and flashy. She well makeup up. She have nice hair. She have nice nails. Well dressed. Whereas Carol on the other hand is as casual. She normal dress. You know, and she does a little business every day. However, Amy is back to square one. Amy is back to square one, and Amy right now, Amy starts to grumble and complain. She's saying, why the month taking so long to end? Amy starts to grumble and say, boy, she need another job. Job she have there, she not making enough money. A big job she have, you know, she making $3,000 a month. You understand? Amy starts to grumble, she starts to complain. Amy starts to complain about the government. She starts to complain about the system. She starts to complain about all forms of things. You understand? That's Amy for you. You know, and the list of complaint goes on and on and on. You know? Yeah, the list of complaint goes on and on in the last week of the month when she realized she has no money left. And this, my friend, is why most people in Dominica struggle in Dominica. You understand? This is why most people struggle in Dominica. And this is just one scenario I am painting here for you guys, just one scenario. There are many other scenarios, there are other scenarios, because obviously the majority of Dominicans don't have any salary close to that. The majority of Dominicans, let's say their salary is about $1,200. You understand? But it doesn't change the fact, because as I say, that's just one scenario. There are many other scenarios out there, and let's say when Amy gets a man, or she gets a husband, and she makes children, Amy's lifestyle there's only going to be very little change in Amy's lifestyle. If Amy does not change her mindset, Amy and the rest of her children are going to forever be brokes. You understand? That's the scenario, and that is the foundation that Amy is setting for herself and for her children. And then she's going to be totally dependent on either the man or the husband. And then if the husband cannot provide so much for her, and more than likely she's going to get a husband with a very similar mindset. That's always the case. They get a man with a very similar mindset, and they just continue living that kind of a life. And that's the scenario. And some scenarios obviously will be better or worse off than others. You understand? But really and truly, that's the lifestyle of most people out there, most people in Dominica, and most people in all parts of the world. You understand? If only you don't realize, that's how the government thrive on a mindset like that. The system of things, it thrive on a mindset like that. That's why they always have a whole bunch of advertisement to encourage people to spend money and to shop. And if people live that mindset, they are the ones that fall victim to all that influence out there that is being portrayed on the media and all platforms that we know. In fact, statistics shows that 90% of people have a similar mindset. When they get paid at the end of the month, they don't know anything about saving. All they know is that they have $3,000 to spend for the rest of the month until they get paid again. A very similar mindset like Amy, But look at Carol on the other hand, Carol wakes up very early in the morning, let's say 4:30, 4 o'clock, and she prepares her meals. She prepares her breakfast. She prepares her lunch, and so she doesn't have to be spending money buying lunch every day, So Carol is being productive with her life. Carol also uses, let's $300 stretch. Try to stretch $300 for the rest of the month. Carol also saves, put $300 aside in her closet for an emergency. And if Carol doesn't experience an emergency during that month, that $300 is going to roll over into the next month. And at the end of that month, Carol can choose to add that $300 to her savings. And instead of she having $800, she's now going to have, she'll put another $800, which will be $1,600. And then when she add the $300, she'll have $1,900 in her savings at the end of the month. And if the whole 12 months pass at the end of the year and Carol never gets an emergency, if you multiply that, Carol is going to left with $13,200 in her savings at the end of the month, plus interest, people. And at the end of the year, or even in 6 months, where Carol will have $6,100. Carol can choose, at the end of 6 months, Carol can choose to start a small business, to invest into something else. So she can choose to do it at the end of the year when she has $13,200 plus interest. You understand? Carol can choose to invest, and Carol has no worries. While Amy is looking good and fancy and dandy, Amy is broke and miserable. Carol, on the other hand, has no money worries. And this, my friend, is why most people struggle in Dominica. And that's about it for this video. So I hope that you learn a little lesson out of this video. So you see, it's not how much money you make, but it's how much money you keep and how you go about spending that money. You understand? That's what adds to your struggle, and that's what adds to your comfort in life. You understand? And I could have painted a similar scenario with $1,200 instead of $3,000. You understand? But I choose $3,000. You know? So anyway, that's it. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You know, please like this video. Come on, give this video a thumbs up. It will definitely go a long way. Yeah, so anyway, that's it for this video. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You know, as I said, click that like button. And yeah, so this has been Young and Uprising. My name is Lawrence Jerome, and I will see you on the next video. Peace out. That's my sexy wife. Look how sweet she looks. Click that thumbs up button. We're on lockdown and there's nothing to do.